Hey everybody, what's going on? First things first, sorry for the lack of videos. I've just been playing a ton of Marathon instead of trying to make content right now. I wanted to get all of my opinions and feedback and all of my little bug reports congregated and sent off to Bungie before I started making content on the game. More so because I worry about the future of this game. I've liked it a ton so far, and essentially I just want to give the most honest feedback and opinions I can about the game without looking into what other people are saying. But now that I have about 50 hours in the game, 15 on PC and about 35 on console, I'm coming back to make content, look at what the other people in the community are saying, give my opinions, and looking at a bunch more marathon content in the future for this channel. So yet again, sorry for that, but with that out of the way, let's start talking about today's topic, which is going to be, if you can't tell from the title of this video, solo play in Marathon, specifically regarding the Bear Key interview with one of the developers. We're going to be going over that a little bit, giving our thoughts and opinions, and why things are looking a little grim at the moment. Which, if you guys watch my content, I generally am trying to be very positive about this game, considering there is a lot of Doom content out there already. But sadly, this is one of those instances where I think we really need to talk about the plans of Marathon in the future and what the development team at Bungie is trying to do with Marathon. To start off in this interview, and I won't be playing the video on this video here just because I didn't get permission, but I will leave a link to the video in the description as well as a link to the channel where this interview took place. Essentially, Bearkey asked, are you guys looking into solo play at all? Because essentially right now, as a solo player, it is impossible to play. You are discouraged from rotating because if you leave your area, you're giving up any progress you've already made, and it could easily be taken away. The Bungie developer essentially replies saying that I believe that if you use your consumables, your equipment, your gear, and abilities properly, you can in fact do a 1v3. It would just be difficult, with Bearkey's reply being, you could 1v3 if it was a 1v1, and then a 1v1, and then another 1v1, which realistically is only going to happen against a very poor squad. What I'm saying is that if all three enemies push you at the same time in the current build of Marathon, in a 1v3 situation, you are not going to win 99.999% of the time. And this is due to a number of factors. The first one I want to talk about being the high time to kill in Marathon. This is a kind of double-edged sword because when you're in a squad fight, 3v3, I actually quite enjoyed the long time to kill. I enjoy that it takes almost a clip to kill enemies with certain guns, that there's a lot of time to react and finesse, use your movement tech to get the advantage in these situations. When a fight takes a long time, it really allows players to express their skill and what they're capable of doing in the game. You know, you're not getting completely caught off guard and instant killed. You're not getting sniped by one bullet across the map. You always have time to react to something in some way to express your skill as a player. However, with a long time to kill brings something that a lot of people used to the long time to kill style FPS genre might be used to, which is team shooting and team play. Team fights become absolutely necessary in any real competitive fight. If you are fighting a squad and your three teammates are able to coordinate which enemy you want to focus down or what kind of plays you want to go for, the chances that you're going to win the fight is so much higher than the uncoordinated group of three. You can talk to your teammates in order to, like I said, pinpoint the exact enemy you want to fight. And with your team, you can easily pick one guy, take him down in a second because you're all team shotting, and then continuously move on to the next. And in a game like this where the time to kill is so high, generally whatever team gets the first knock is going to be the team that wins the gunfight because it becomes a 3v3 into a 3v2, which means you're just getting more bullets thrown at you while you're shooting out less bullets at the team, if you know what I mean. So with a combined long time to kill, let's look at the other issues, and that's going to be being able to fully revive a dead teammate when they're in the bag form. This is another absolutely... I'm like stuttering because I can't even think of the word. It is such a detriment to solo play that this probably might be a bigger deal than the time to kill, in my opinion. I see a lot of comments on Reddit, social media, that the time to kill is going to be the main reason why solo play is near impossible. To me, it's the revive system in this game. If you are a solo player, and let's say a squad of 3 comes out, but one of those 3 members are isolated, you're able to take them down, very nice, get the full kill. In that situation, it's now a 1v2. So you can kind of look around, gauge where the other 2 players are, and the fight's a little bit easier for you because you're able to pick off one of those enemies. However, let's say you do get the first kill and the 2 other players on the enemy team see you and they start opening fire. Your only way to live that situation is to get into cover and hide, essentially, right? You can return fire and cover, things like that, but you are going to have to leave the enemy corpse on the ground. At that point, what are you supposed to do when the enemy team is going to go back to that bag, fully revive the teammate that you just took down, and then they're going to be back to 3 members because reviving is not a risk in this game. You go up to the corpse of your ally, you hold down a button even if they're full dead, and they come back exactly where they were. The only downside being is that they have 30% health instead of 100% when they're revived, which is not something that matters in a non-symmetric team fight like a 1v3 or a 2v3. There is no real realistic way as a solo player against any amount of capable squad. And I don't mean a good squad. I just mean a squad that has a few hours in the game that you are able to come out on top without some sort of miracle happening. Like, you kill the enemy and there's 2 left and they just completely ignore the bag or they're not around. And then you bump into them later and you're able to take out another one. Like, there's off situations where you are able to take out a full squad, but it's so unrealistic in the current build that Marathon has that you just should never expect it to happen. One, time to kill is too long. By the time you're able, like if you see a full enemy squad and by the time you're able to take down the shields of one of them, realistically, they should have been able to kill you by then because team shotting is absurd. 2, the revive mechanic. Even if you do take down one of the enemy hostiles in that squad, they're just going to be back up because there's almost no realistic way to stop those other 2 players from just running up on you and pushing you out from that body for them to just get the res. You would have to be an incredibly strong, gifted player with luck on your side in order to win an average 1v3 without there being a critical error on the 3's part. I do not think 1v3s should be common or even rare. They should be very rare to do a 1v3. When you are by yourself fighting 3 other players, there is no world where it makes sense for that one player to have an advantage in that fight. So 1v3s should inherently be very difficult and be hard to pull off, but they should be possible when you're dealing with a very skilled player. I'm saying if you are an absolute beast at Marathon and extraction shooter, no, not extraction shooters, let's break away from the generalities. If you are just good at Marathon, and I mean very good, you should be able to, in some situations, with your game knowledge, movement tech, kit, weapon, abilities, and build, be able to beat a 1v3 against a squad that might not be as kitted. You know, if you're a 1v3 and all 3 enemy players are in the absolute max rank top tier gear, then I understand Bungie saying, yeah, you're never supposed to win that gunfight unless you, like, catch one of them off guard, kill them quick, get the loot, and then, like, run away. But, of course, even if you do that, it's Marathon, so that enemy is going to come back eventually just without that gear you stole. But I think what I wanted to say for last, and this is the biggest part, the developer in the interview clearly stated this game was designed for a squad, which fills my little heart with so much dread for the future of this game. You cannot design games to be built around squads in this year. There are so many people that do not want to communicate with the squad, and there's so many people that would rather load in solo against other solos. And I know some people might just put in the comments, go play a different game then. And sure, they could go play a different game, but I don't see why Bungie is so determined to not change their philosophy on this idea of just adding in a solo queue. I don't see the problem. The only bad thing is you're separating queues a bit up. You're splitting the player base into trios and solos. And maybe because of the amount of maps this game has, that could lead to some longer queue times. Especially because generally in battle royales and extraction shooters, solo generally tends to have the lower population base between squads and solo. But I do think Bungie is alienating a massive part of the community when they do not have a solo-only playlist or launch or something like that. I think Bungie's response, saying that this game is specifically designed around squads, just, even if true, is not the best thing they could have said. And I honestly hope they consider a change in the future, or I do think this is one of those things that could hurt Marathon in the long run. Thank you for checking out the video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day.